and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Before we get started tonight, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, AMAC. As we approach another critical election, a wave of concern washes over America. Recent studies reveal that an astonishing 56% of our fellow citizens report feelings of anxiety or dread about the upcoming presidential election. That's why I stand with AMAC. AMAC is more than a senior discount organization. During these challenging times, they fight for common sense and hope that our nation returns to traditional American values. Visit amac.us/Lara today to seize an exclusive election year special, a 4-year AMAC membership for just $30. As an AMAC member, you not only enjoy money-saving benefits, but also the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare advice, a trusted voice in Washington, and a community of like-minded patriots who love this great nation. By becoming an AMAC member, you're strengthening a movement dedicated to preserving the principles we hold dear. Take advantage of this election year special, 4 years for $30, and be part of the solution over the next 4 years. You can join now at amac.us/LARA. That's amac.us/Lara. Tonight, we're so excited. We're joined by NBA player Enes Kanter-Freedom. Enes, I can't thank you enough for joining us. You've been out front, very vocal. I think a lot of people know you now, not just from basketball, but from all of your activism. I want to hear all about it. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us your story. You were born in Switzerland. How'd you end up a professional NBA player? Tell us from the beginning.
Well, first, thank you for having me. It's an honor. Actually, I born in Switzerland and moved back to Turkey, and I actually had a very difficult childhood. I think given what's happening in the Middle East right now, I think it's important our viewers to hear it. If you are a politician in pretty much the Middle East, and if you want to be elected again, the first thing you do, you attack America and you attack Jewish people. Unfortunately, the base is so uneducated. They're like, wow, look at our leader. He's standing tall against America. He's standing tall against Jewish people. Let's vote for him. And unfortunately, pretty much every politician uses that. So I remember I was 9 years old. I went downstairs to play with my friends. And my friends who are not even teenagers, they were burning American flags. They were burning Israeli flags, and they were breaking crosses. And I remember asking one of my friends, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He said, well, we should hate America. We should hate Israel. We should hate Christian people. They're evil. And I remember they gave me a flag to burn it. They gave me a flag, they gave me a lighter, and they said, burn it. And I remember I got so nervous. I threw the flag down. I ran upstairs to my mom. I was like, Mom, my friends are telling me to hate America, hate Christians, hate Jewish people. What do I do? My mom was like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but do not hate anyone before you meet him. So I gave a promise to my mom that day. I was like, I promise I'm not going to hate anyone before I meet him.
Wow.
And then when I was 17 years old, the environment that I was growing up in was getting more and more toxic every day. My dad was like, enough is enough. You're going to America. And I remember asking my dad, I was like, Dad, you sure you want me to go to Devil's Nest? He's like, go and see yourself. And then I came here and I went to college in Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, kudos to your mom. What a great parenting moment, to have this opportunity. And by the way, as a mom of 2 kids myself, look, I'm always looking for good ways to instill great values in them and teach them lessons that they'll remember. And it must, have meant a lot to your mom throughout your life that's a story that resonated so deeply with you that she said to you, hey, you don't hate anybody until you meet them. We should all take a note from that, Enes. We should all utilize that sort of thought process and compassion for people, quite frankly, because I don't think we'd see the horrific atrocities going on in the Middle East right now that are happening. I don't think we'd see a lot of things going on right now that are happening. When did you realize, though, because obviously you moved to America, you went to, I assume, school on a scholarship for basketball. Yeah. When did you realize, though, growing up, that basketball was a possibility for you long-term into possibly a career?
It's actually funny because I wanted to be a soccer player because That's like the number one sport in my country.
Okay.
But I was too tall for it, too slow for it, so it just didn't work. They were just keep making me a goalie. So and then I quit. But it was very hard for me to get my education and play basketball or any kind of sport at the same time in Europe. So that's why I came here. I went to high school in California, went to college in Kentucky, then I got drafted in 2011 by Utah Jazz. So I literally decided to become an NBA player when literally 17 years old. Um, yeah, it was very late. But I mean, I went to one of the best, colleges in literally in the nation, Kentucky, one of the best basketball
Yeah.
programs. It was the only thing that I will actually complain about was just like think about as a foreigner coming to America for the first time, you're trying to learn English, right? So it's like it was so hard for me to understand anyone from Kentucky because the accent
Anyone in
was
general, and then you add the Kentucky accent and as to it,
yeah.
that ramps it up a bit.
No, it was very hard. I just couldn't understand what they were saying. I tried to understand them a little bit, but the words was just coming out was just anyway so weird. Then I went to Utah. I got drafted by Utah Jazz. Amazing people, Mormons, one of the kindest people I met. They knocked my door many times, and I was like, well, just come in and let's have a chat and stuff. But it was just very peaceful, very very kind people. And I played in 5 different teams. It was a very colorful NBA career.
Wow. So first of all, I think it's hard to change cultures at all in general to
Yeah.
move to a new country, and then for you to have kind of the culture shock of coming in and then going to, school in Kentucky. I'm sure, like you're saying, it was hard for you on a whole host of levels.
Yeah.
But I read, did you actually credit SpongeBob SquarePants and Jersey Shore for helping you learn English? And are you still watching to this day, Ines? Tell us
Okay.
the truth.
So when I went to college, I was getting a lot of tutors because of the English. I wanted to be able to understand my teammates and my coaches better on the court. So I remember, but tutors was just like the writing English. I actually asked one of my teammates, like, "Hey, dude, like, I actually want to learn English where you guys speak in a locker room or just on the streets." They said, "We got you, don't worry." I was like, "There is this show called Jersey Shore,
Oh my
and you
God.
just watch it, and you will learn English in no time." I remember, I promised, I got my to-go box. I went into my dorm. I locked the door. I just started watching this craziest show I've ever actually watched on television, Jersey Shore. And I was like, if this is what is America's about, we
Oh
are.
my God. I was going to say, I hope you didn't judge us too quickly, Ines, on that Jersey Shore is sort of like
Yeah.
that's how we all operate here.
I'm actually now friends with many of the.
Are you? I love
Yeah.
that. That's amazing.
But no, it was just a very cultural shock, and I was just very shocked at how people actually enjoys or lives this lifestyle. But anyway, it was just an experience. But yeah, it was.
They threw you right in.
Exactly.
Your story at it's sort of when we first started talking about, when you were so young and your friends were burning, the American flag and the Israeli flag. Obviously that gave you insight into something bigger and I guess to a degree politics, right? So, did you always from that point on sort of follow politics? Or when did you really have this strong interest in it? Because you've been so outspoken and you've been such a
Yeah.
champion for being, freedom and freedom of speech and all of the things that we are so invested here in America. And what led you to that?
So it actually all started back in 2013. There was this big corruption scandal happened in Turkey, my home country, and the President Erdogan and his family was involved in it. And that was actually the first time I say something about it. And it became a conversation because of the NBA platform. And after that moment, I just started to speak up more and more, and that really actually affected my family. Because when you're fighting against authoritarian regimes, they're not going to take it easy on you. My dad, was one of the biggest scientists in Turkey, and at first they fired him. My sister went to medical school for 6 years, and she still cannot find a job. I think the saddest one was my little brother because he was one of the best basketball player in his age, but he was just keep getting kicked out because of the same last name. So they were getting affected so much they had to put a statement out there and said we are disowning Enes. disowning our
Wow.
son. And the Turkish government didn't believe that. They sent police to my house in Turkey and they raided the whole house and they took every electronics away because they wanted to see if I am still in contact with my family or not. They couldn't find no evidence, but they still took my dad in jail for a while. But thanks to our government here, we put so much pressure from here to Turkey. They let him go, and then after that, they revoked my passport. They actually put my name on Interpol list. I can now only go to 29 countries in the world. And just recently, I had a basketball camp in Vatican. I met the Pope, and it became a huge, huge hit all over the Christian world. Literally, the next day, they put a bounty on my head. And I remember having a conversation with FBI. They said, come back to America immediately because we can only protect you in America. Anywhere else, it will be really easy for them to get you. And now I was actually sitting in a house and I had a conversation with FBI. They said, look, man, this is too dangerous. You need to move to a hotel room. So I moved to a hotel room. And when I was on a road game, the FBI came to my house and they set up this thing called panic button. They said, whenever you feel uncomfortable, push that button. We'll be there in 2 or 3 minutes. And I always actually wanted to push it and really time them and see if they were really going to be there in 2 or 3 minutes.
Put them to the test.
I mean, this is pretty much like to the when you're fighting against a dictatorship, this is the life that you have to live with. And I remember it's actually very funny because one day I was sitting in my locker room and my teammates are like, oh my God, America is horrible and terrible. We hate America. America is trash. I remember I stopped them for a second. I'm like, listen, dude, the season is about to be over. And whenever the season over, I will buy your first class ticket and let's go to some of these countries out there like Iran, like China, like Russia, like North Korea, like Turkey. And you guys forget about calling them trash. If you criticize those government,
You're
and
dead.
your family members will be tortured to death.
Yes.
So people don't understand how good they have it in this country.
Thank you. Well, by the
Yeah.
way, and thank you for saying that because it is so important to remind people how blessed we truly
Oh,
are to be in the United States of America. And no one knows that better than people who, like yourself, have escaped from these authoritarian dictatorships, from
Yeah.
communist countries. Once you travel, and by the way, I really don't care where else you go in the entire world. I've been lucky enough I did a study abroad program when I was in college in France. I don't care where you go. There is no other place like the United States of America. And it makes me so sad to see that sometimes actively via our educational system, we're teaching our next generation of Americans to hate this country.
Yes.
And good for you for standing up for this country. And to your teammates, what was their response, by the way, when you said that?
I mean, they were just laughing. I mean, also like not only our education system. I remember, I'm sure you remember too, back in 2020, when the NBA took us to this thing called NBA bubble, and they said, "Oh my God, all we care about is social justice. Forget about basketball. We're gonna talk about the things that are happening in America." I remember they put all this like BLM logos on the floor. They put all these phrases behind our jersey, which was controlled by the NBA. So
Right.
if you wanted to pick, I don't know, stand with Hong Kong, we're not allowed to pick. It has to be controlled by the NBA. And every player was given an interview. They're encouraged by the NBA is like, hey, listen, talk about the problems that are happening in America, blah, blah, right? And as a foreigner coming to this country, I had no idea like what was going on. So all my teammates were taking knees and stuff, and I actually took a knee with them because I had no idea. Like, think about, I did not grow up here. So coming to this country, I was just like confused. Why are they taking knees and stuff? And I actually remember having a conversation with one of my teammates. They said, well, just go with the flow. So 4 years later, I started to criticize all this, human rights violations done by the Chinese Communist Party. And I promise you, NBA got so mad. I mean, the reason I'm not playing basketball is because of I criticized China. Why? They said, well, they got so much deals and it's a billions of dollars of contract with NBA. More people watch NBA games in China than American population. So I remember telling one of my coach, I was like, coach, so you're telling me the NBA is encouraging us to speak up the problems that are happening in America because it doesn't affect their pocket. But when it comes to China, they're telling us to stay silent.
Boom.
I'm like,
Wow.
the biggest hypocrisy. Not
Yep.
only that, look at Nike. Nike stands with Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ community, Latino community, Asian community, but everybody knows about the slave labor and sweatshops.
Mhm.
I'm like, who are you preaching? I think
Yeah.
the one thing that really hit me the most, Colin Kaepernick was actually one of my really good friend.
Really?
And I remember like he was helping me with so much with Turkey and all that stuff. The day I started to criticize Nike, I never heard from him ever again. This guy used to send me gifts once a month. I still have his jerseys in my closet. And the day I started to criticize Nike, never heard from him ever again. And that actually hurt. I really thought that we were good friends.
Wow. I mean, honestly, what a shame. And clearly, Ines, over money, right? Because he had a contract with Nike. I want to ask you more about this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Nobody move. All right. I hate to interrupt the show, but I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Swiss America. Our country's facing so many problems these days under Joe Biden. The last thing any of us need is more to worry about. Unfortunately, we now have to fear losing our freedom and privacy with the Democrats' new push for a digital dollar that could allow the government to tell us what we can and cannot buy with our own hard-earned money. That's why I'm encouraging every one of you tuning into the show right now to get The Secret War on Cash, an insightful report created by my friends at Swiss America. With this report, you'll learn how to protect yourself from the threats facing our personal freedoms and your hard-earned money. The report is available right now to my listeners free of charge. Just call 1-800-289-2646 or visit www.swissamerica.com/Trump for your free report. You might have heard Mike Lindell and MyPillow no longer have the support of their box stores or shopping channels the way they used to. They've been victims of cancel culture, so they want to pass the savings directly on to you by having a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just a one-product company. But with the help of his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products, some you may not even know about. To get the word out, I want to invite my listeners to check out their $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use pillows, just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. Their 6-pack towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels, you guessed it, just $25. For the first time ever, the premium MyPillow with all new Giza fabric, just $25. Orders over $75 will receive free shipping. This amazing offer won't last long. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Trump or call 800-624-3945 today. So, Ines, obviously you lost a friendship with Colin Kaepernick over speaking your truth and saying things that probably needed to be said by a lot more people, but you have the guts to do it. Your family in Turkey obviously suffered because you spoke up against, the leader of Turkey and the things that were going on there. You lost your ability to play in the NBA because you spoke up and spoke your truth. Do you ever regret any of that? Is there ever a moment where you say, I shouldn't have done any of these things? Because that's a lot. I give you a lot of credit.
I mean, empathy is the key. I think that's the one word that our world is missing. I mean, if I put myself in their situation, I actually have this conversation with my teammates, and they're like, dude, listen, you criticize Nike, you criticize NBA, you're never going to play basketball ever again. I asked them one simple question. I was like, dude, listen, put yourself in their shoes. If your mother, if your sister, if your daughter was in those concentration camps in China, getting tortured and raped every day, would you still pick money over your morals? They usually turn around and leave the room, Wow. And it's literally a simple question. I was like, dude, join me. I don't want you to talk about politics. I want you to talk about human rights violations. But you're telling every news outlet that you care because you're going to all these rallies in America.
Yeah, it's all manufactured in us, right? It's controlled and it's manufactured. You're supposed to care about the things they tell you to care about. But when you speak up on your own, and by the way, I would venture to say that if enough NBA players or NFL players in Colin Kaepernick's situation, whoever it is, if enough people stood up for the things like you're talking about and really were truthful to themselves and said, I know these things are wrong and I'm willing to call them out, the NBA can't get by without basketball players, right? So they would
Exactly.
have to say like, all right, well, we're not going to take this out on all of the guys we have playing in the league, right? So you have you have enough people that you can really get the message across, and you still have your ability to have your freedom of speech intact. At some point they probably could have joined forces with you, and you guys could have had something great. But in the vein of talking about freedom, you famously added the word freedom to your name. What made you feel so strongly to take that action? Because that's a big deal to change your name.
It's actually a very funny and crazy story. So when I came here for the first time back in 2009, and I joined my high school basketball team, and then after the basketball practice, we just all sit in the locker room, and we're just on our phone and stuff. And one of my teammates, criticized the president, and I can't even remember. He said something on his social media. I immediately turned around. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, what happened? Well, I was like, I saw your post. And he said, okay. I was like, well, you might be in jail tomorrow. They all turned around and started to laugh. And they were like, dude,
Meaning
this is
our
not,
president here in America.
yep. I was like,
Wow.
dude, this is not Turkey. This is America. I was like, what do you mean? They said, well, we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of protest. Just because of you criticize a government, our government, or president, you're not gonna be in jail. So I literally thought they were just talking to like a different language to me because I never had any of this growing up.
Yeah.
So then every day goes by, every practice goes by. My teammates were literally they were just with me. They were literally became my family. I remember when I was about to take my citizenship test, it's like 100 questions, and they ask you like 10 of them, and you got to get 6 of them right. And they print that out for me. And before the practice, after the games, when we were traveling to a different city in a plane, they were literally asking me these questions. And every time I got wrong, they were just making me run, and they were just making me do push-ups and stuff. No, and then it was amazing. And then when I became a citizen, right, the person who interviewed me asked me like, would you like to add or change anything to your name or your last name? At that moment, there's everything that I have gone so far just flashed in my head. I was like, you know what? I would like to add freedom my last name. I really wanted to make this word part of me and carry it everywhere I go and put that behind my jersey because I really wanted to bring a lot of awareness, and now every arena or even in the streets, people are chanting freedom because that word is like one of the most important words that human being can have. And I just hope that our young generation won't take it for granted.
Wow. What a story. By the way, do you remember the questions you were asked on your citizenship test?
Yeah, they asked me about who is the senator in our state, how many stars we have in the on the flag. They asked me about who the president was and who's the vice president was. So it was not like the most toughest questions, but I think working on that 100 question, I learned about our First Amendment, and that actually helped me a lot with my life because I remember when I started to, I don't know how much you know, but I started to wear this shoes. It was, saying free Tibet,
Yes.
free the Uyghurs and stuff. So when NBA told me to take my shoes off, and I remember I closed my eyes, I was like, okay, we have 27 amendments, my First Amendment, freedom of speech, and I turned around, I was like, no, I'm not taking them off. And that really helped me
Yeah.
become a man, pretty much,
Stand your ground for sure. By
Yeah.
the way, I would venture to say that the one you just said, the couple you just said you remembered,
Mhm.
I would almost guarantee you if you asked most people to name a senator from their state, they would probably have a hard time with it. And or the amendments, like forget it. You're probably well ahead of a lot of people. So
So my teammates helped me a lot, and I mean, actually, I learned a lot from my teammates. I remember one time, after I started to speak out about this, China's human rights violations, I was like getting called from every media outlet, and I remember one time I joined CNN, right? I did the CNN. I went back to the locker room. They were just saying, "Good job, man." Blah blah. You know what? You did the best. And then the next day, I did Fox News. And I walked in the locker room, and all my teammates were giving me these dirty looks. I literally said the same words, literally same words. And at first, I couldn't understand. And one of my coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, he was whispering in my ear. He was like, "Hey man, we watched you last night. Me and my family support you." I was like, "Why are you whispering?" He's like, "I don't want my other players to know that I watch Fox."
Oh my
And I was like, "What do
gosh.
you mean?" So that coach, he actually told me to not to reveal his name. He actually was supporting Trump, and after that they learned that he was supporting Trump. He had to quit his job. He was
Oh,
playing. He was assistant coach in Boston Celtics, and then when they learned that he was supporting Trump and he was watching Fox News, he actually had to quit his job. And I actually pushed him. Was like, "Dude, go out there, talk about it. You're gonna get a lot of support." He was like, "Dude, no. NBA is so woke. If I ever say a word, I'm never getting a job ever again. So just keep this between us. Don't tell media about it. You can tell the media, but do not mention my name." I was shocked because I thought my teammates were all about, standing for the right things. I mean, this is a country that you can support whoever you want to support. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. He
right.
had to quit his job because he was getting bullied.
But don't you think, Ines, it feels like, there's such a groupthink mentality, and it's almost like, the fact that you go on one network and you're applauded, and you go on another network and say the exact same things, and people are upset about it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's almost like, like a cult, like brainwash type
Yeah,
situation. And
exactly.
does it scare you at all, the fact that we're at a place like this in the United States of America? Because for you to have endured what you did in your home country,
Mhm.
for you to have come as far as you have, and have given up, by the way, as much as you have, to see that sort of
Yeah.
thing happening, it scares me. How do you feel about it?
No, no, for sure. It is very, I am worried because, like, I mean, think about it. Just because of, I mean, you can support whoever you want to support.
Yeah.
You can vote whoever you want to vote for, but just because of you are going on, I remember asking my teammates, I'm like, "Dude, did I say something wrong? Did I say something like that, I don't know, offended you guys?" Because I did not. I was literally talking about the same thing that I talked about the day before to CNN. He's like, "No, but that's the channel you joined." I was like, "What do you
They
mean?" He's
must
like,
really
"Oh,
like me, Ines.
oh, God, you have no idea. I will tell you privately what they say about you and your family." But I'm like,
I'm
"Dude, have you
sure.
met them before?" They're like, "Well, no, look at them. They're terrible. They're racist. They this and that." I'm like, "Have you met them before?" They're like, "No." I was like, "Well, then before you met them, do not judge anyone." And they're like, "Yeah, sure." But no, I actually try to have a conversation with many of them, but unfortunately, they're just so close-minded, and there is this like the woke, I guess I don't want to say cult, but there's this woke group in NBA.
It's a bit of a cult like vibe, though, because if
Exactly.
you're that bought into something
Yep.
and you're so closed off and you're not even willing to hear the
Yeah.
opinions of anyone else, that
Like
that's kind of what you get, right?
for me to, when my assistant coach had to come and whisper my ear that I
Yeah.
support you just because of I joined this one of this network. I was shocked. I literally shocked, and I started to realize I'm like, okay, this is something that I've never experienced before. And we're talking about this is happening in America. This is not happening in one of those third world countries.
Right.
But it
That's the
just,
scary part. That is
yeah.
the scary part. Are you still close with or friendly with any of your former teammates, or have they all kind of been like, I don't know, this guy's on Fox News too much
Yeah.
now. We can't talk to
So
him.
good question. So when I got blackballed by the NBA, I played 11 years in NBA. I had hundreds of teammates, hundreds of coaches, so many people in the front office and stuff. When they blackballed me, when they literally fired me because of my stance about Chinese Communist Party, not one of them texted me. Not one. All I
Wow.
cared about was, just good luck with whatever comes your way next. And my agent, I was having a conversation with my agent. I was like, I was willing to lose everything. I remember my agent called me one day and said, "Listen, man, I work for you. I don't work for the NBA. So I'm going to be honest with you. If you say another word about China, you're never going to play basketball ever again. You're 29 years old. You are about to lose between 40 to $50 million. If you're willing to, lose it all, keep going." And I did it. And I thought, because when the conversation was Turkey, NBA actually supported me so much. Not only NBA, but Adam Silver, the commissioner, my teammates, my coaches, everybody. When the conversation was about China, everyone turned their back. Why? Because they just didn't want me to mention their name whenever I do an interview like this and say, oh, hey, this guy supported me, that guy supported me. There are so many people, but I can tell you this, there are so many people that that doesn't support this woke mind in NBA, but they're just scared. They're afraid because once they, if they
Of
come out,
course.
if they join any show on Fox or some like the right wing or
You get
show,
punished. You get punished.
exactly. I don't care
Yeah.
how good you are. I promise you, I don't care if you're the best basketball player in your team. You're gonna be bullied. You're gonna get punished, and the media, the woke media in NBA is gonna turn their back against you. So, think about a player. They don't want to go through that because they want to make more money. They want to get more endorsement deals. They don't want to lose all that.
Yeah.
But we definitely need to support and encourage our players in NBA that doesn't want to be part of this woke mind, I guess cult, you will say. So, I mean, more people like, Jonathan Isaac actually is
Yes.
other one, and there are so many other ones, but I'm just worried to just mention their name because then they're gonna
No, don't get them in trouble, Enes. We won't get them in trouble. They're always welcome here. I'll say that. I'm happy to talk to anybody, by the way. I just want to hear from people. I want to hear people's stories. And I want to say thank you. I want to give you a lot of credit. I mean, what you have done, truly, Enes, is so brave. And honestly, I think that if you talk to 99% of people and you put them in your shoes, they would not have done the things that you've done. And it is so commendable. And you are such a great role model and leader. I think it's fantastic. So thank you for standing up for what you know is right, for really speaking your mind. I think that, I hope more people take a cue from you and do that. What's going on with you, by the way? Do we have anything you want to talk about that you're working on, or where people can keep up with what you're doing?
So it's actually so I don't hate the basketball. I hate the NBA part, but I still love basketball. Throughout my career, I organized hundreds of basketball camps around the world, and I think given what's happening in the Middle East right now, so I actually one of the person that really inspired me was Jared Kushner. So we actually are building this initiative. It's called Abrahamic Athletic Academy. The reason I didn't want to do a course because I really wanted the Christian community to be involved with this too. So right now we are literally going around the world and building these academies where we bring Muslims, Jews, and Christians. We're gonna pretty much use basketball as a tool to reach out to these kids around the world. And we are coming up with this beautiful curriculum where we talk about anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-Christianism, and racism. And it's going to be focused on middle schools and high schools because once you get to college, you set with your mind, and I'm sure you see what's happening in college campuses right now. So it's an important initiative, and also it's basketball. It's fun,
Yeah. Wow, how incredible is that? When will you start doing this? When will it kick off?
So we are thinking about starting this whole thing in January 2025. I think the world needs to calm down a little bit. I mean, the name of it is so beautiful, Abrahamic Athletic Academy. I mean, it's who can go against this, the initiative.
That's so great. I love it. And by the way, I told you before the show started, my son is so into basketball right now. So don't be shocked. Yeah, don't be shocked when I call you and I say, can I get my son to come play basketball? What a great idea. What a great human being you are, Enes. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for sharing your story and spending time with us here at The Right View. We appreciate it very much. To everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Gosh, thank you.
And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it.